Shoots and Ladders, AEW Maximum Miss. Hey everyone, my name is Jason.
I'm Desiree Josen.
Buckle up, this is going to get real bumpy. So we are actually talking about AEW and how they've absolutely missed on many levels. We are collectively, we're not the type of people that just bash for no reason. That's not what we do. That's not what we create this podcast to get clicks. That's not our angle or goal. But part of what we agreed upon when we first started this podcast is we are going to shoot. And with AEW, they missed big time. Let me hear what you have to say, Des.
Same. Just to make it clear, we are wrestling fans. We love all promotions, not just one. And if one drops the ball, we're going to call it out. And it doesn't matter who it is. And I will make this clear. I am an AEW fan. The reason why we're saying these things is just because we're fans and we know there's so much more potential. And maybe, just maybe, they'll hear us, as fans and maybe take some of our thoughts into consideration. So this is only for the betterment. These are just our opinions. So
absolutely. To double down, we mentioned this on a previous podcast, because of social media and because of podcast and YouTube and everything else, our voices actually matter. The storyline of Cody changed because of all the backlash that came out. I really, really, really hope AEW is listening and the execs are listening. I really hope the fans chime in. If you disagree with us, that's completely fine.
Yeah.
But I statistically, from a probability standpoint, I think most fans are going to be on our side. Mm-hmm. So the smooth transition into that is this deal with Max. Okay. When I first read about this deal, I saw $187 million 3 years. My initial interpretation was that was $187 million for 3 years. When I found out that it was $187 per year, my jaw just dropped. Listen, I'm all for this. Hats off to AEW for getting that. I want to also just remind the audience, I worked in television for 7 years. I used to see the sheets and the numbers. Television is very expensive to produce. So this deal actually makes a lot of sense. But when I found out that Tony Khan still wants to charge for PLEs when he's just signed a deal for $187 million per year, I was livid. And I know I'm not the only one. Go ahead.
No, you are not. We were really excited when we were hearing the rumors in the beginning of the year with the deal with Max because of WWE with Peacock and then going over to Netflix. It just made sense for them to make a deal with another channel. So, in the back of our minds, we're thinking, Tony already comes from a good amount of money. He's got a good financial backing. So it's not like he's struggling like this was back in the territories where they're scraping pennies just trying to get by. That's not the issue here. It was just exciting because we were thinking, for PLEs, we are actually going to watch them. And it makes sense. We have subscriptions. We've talked about subscription fatigue. But if we're going to get more for our money, then it's so worth it. And how convenient, because I already have the subscription. And then to find out, you're still going to have to pay, but you'll get a discount. No. Why?
No. Exactly. Let me double down on that. Not $1 will come out of my bank account. Probably not Des's, but the majority of people out there. I don't want to hear from any fan. I mean, feel free to chime in. I don't want to hear that they're struggling for money. Not if they just signed that deal. So back in the day, I remember TNA used to charge $10 a pay-per-view every 2 weeks. When they signed a TV deal, that went away.
Yeah.
So I don't want to hear from anybody that they're losing money. This automatically puts them in profitability.
Absolutely. And I just want to know what their reasoning behind it to not fight to say, hey, you know what? We made this deal. Let's give our fans this as part of the deal to cut them some slack. It's been 5 years of paying for pay-per-views, and I just feel like it would just make their brand even better and more legit. And I just don't I'm so confused by this. So, I mean, if we're wrong on something, let us know. But from what we're seeing, this just doesn't make sense. And it comes off greedy. I know it's business, but you have to have a fan base and a consistent following to have a business. So,
absolutely. And listen, if your benchmark is WWE, which it is, and this is objectionably true.
Sure.
They haven't charged. When they switched, funny enough, they used to charge $9.99 per month just for the network. When they switched to Peacock, they dropped their price. Well, you get Peacock, you get WWE. So for everyone out there, again, we're just fans. We're also fans of entertainment. I love The Office. I love that 70s show. All the bells and whistles that come with Peacock. This sounds like a fair deal to me. I'm going to pay the $5. And now it went up to $7. Irrelevant. I have no problem paying it. WWE, who's been around forever, that is your main competition. This is who you're benchmarking against. If they're not charging for it, you have no right to.
And the fact that they pulled everything out of their archives from every single WrestleMania, every single Raw in your house, anything that was ever physically taped for WWE, biographies, anything, it's on there, and that's part of the deal. And that just, I love that as a fan. And they don't have to, and they can charge extra for that. And I, as a huge fan of them, would be okay because it makes sense, because I'm getting quality and quantity. This, I still have to pay. Yeah. It blows my mind.
Absolutely. In addition to that, to double down, apparently they're not going to release their full catalog of their previous events until later on this year. Which, none of this makes sense. And what's really bothersome about that, WWE had to, because I work for Fox Sports, when we switched everything to digital, we had to take all of our physical inventory and transfer it digitally. AEW does not have that problem. Everything's already digitized.
Right.
All they have to do is simply upload it. End of story. So for whoever their digital content manager is, and I know what that is because I used to work in television, that's all you have to do. So whatever's going on, listen to us, and realize we're representation for the average fan. We work full-time jobs on top of doing this.
Yes.
It is widely inappropriate to charge what you're charging right now, and just to make us feel that we're getting off easy by discount. 100% no.
That's kind of an insult and kind of a slap in her face, because you're still new, you're still a new brand, and you're going up and down with the ebbs and flows. And I get it, that happens. But if you're calling yourself, basically the second runner behind WWE, you've got to really got to sell it. And, keep us as fans, keep us engaged. Don't enrage us to buy into everything that you do, physically buy in, because it's just not realistic, not in this economy at least.
Absolutely. And again, you're getting $187 million per year. I don't care if your roster is 150 wrestlers. I don't care about any logistics. You are profitable, really profitable. End of story.
This is exhausting.
All right. So now we're going to move on to bookings. Now, we talked about this a couple times. We thought this would be appropriate to add it to the maximum miss section. The size of the match card, the content of the matches, and 0 hour, they're missing on this too. And This is not nearly as heavy, but this would only help them out. We've talked about this many times. It's quality as opposed to quantity, especially when it comes to PLEs. I understand you could, in theory, say, hey, we're giving you more content, that's why we have the right to charge. No, not at all.
And I will go back onto that thought. And my thinking is, I understand that's why they most likely are booking so many matches in 0 hour. And for PLEs, it's because they're charging $50 a show for people to watch it and they want them to get their money's worth. I appreciate that thought. However, this wouldn't be a need. Going back to the paying of the PLE is if it was given to us and shown on Max for no additional charge, you wouldn't have to sacrifice the quality of your main events and your PLEs by shoving random fillers into a show and actually carry really great matches, maybe 5 or 6 of them, that build up from the storylines from Dynamite, Rampage, and Collision.
Ding, ding, ding. You are absolutely right.
So, just saying.
Yeah. I want to bring something else up. We actually called this out previously. This past week, Mox actually said this as part of his shoot, or somewhat shoot. AEW has 150 wrestlers, which, if that's what they want to do, that's fine.
Huge.
Yeah. But from a creative standpoint, or lack thereof, this is really unexplainable. We've mentioned this before. If you don't know what to do with all these guys and you're paying all these guys, they have no problem collecting the checks and just sitting in the back.
Right.
But from a creative standpoint, if you genuinely do not know what to do, you have to figure this out, especially now that you have the money.
Just because of how heavy that roster is. The issue that I'm also seeing is their partnership, and because Tony now owns Ring of Honor, I feel he feels the duty to include them in everything, which goes back to the PLEs of Ring of Honor championship matches on an AEW platform. And I get it, but those are 2 separate entities. I think we should keep those separated. Ring of Honor is more... it's an elevated indie promotion. That's how I look at it. But it is televised on YouTube and other channels that you can watch weekly, and you can stream it. So I feel like those are completely unnecessary, and stop bringing them on because it's taking away from other actual AEW roster talent. I tell you, that Mox promo, I really feel like that was a shoot. And when he said it, people were confused, but I was like, I get it. When he was like, I don't like where they are.
Same
I don't
here.
like what they've become. They've become very social. And I'm like, you said it right there.
I 100% agree. Speaking of that, you obviously just mentioned Ring of Honor, where they are, where AEW is. Let's talk about their overall programming. We mentioned this before as well. Their weekly shows definitely can use a shakeup. They don't need the Friday night show.
No.
At all. Now, granted, look, weekly shows are to set up PLEs. That's the purpose. That's been the format for a long time. The whole thing, I think, just needs to be re-examined.
Agreed. I watch them all. I watch everything. And I catch myself on Friday nights just shaking my head sometimes, being like, I know it's an hour. It's late at night. It's at 10 o'clock. Why can't we just get rid of this and then move this to Collision? I really like Collision. It's a fun Saturday night thing to watch. I think it's great how they have sort of done like the WWE Raw and SmackDown roster where they split them. I like that. I just feel like it's too much where they're just pushing. Again, it's like filler on Rampage. So I feel like if they got rid of that, or maybe potentially made that like a Ring of Honor thing, that would be useful.
I think you kind of hit it on the head. If anything, make that the Ring of Honor show, because obviously that's the B promotion at this point of the that they own. So okay, this is heavy. We love it. All right, last thing we're going to touch on is the actual fan base. The fan base is it's kind of similar to NXT, very defensive, very aggressive. Well, you've been to more shows than I have, so let me hear what you have to say.
They're fun. I the live shows are fun. The AEW fans are great, especially us local in Jacksonville. We're great friends. We have fun in the audience. I think it's the overall fan base that they get so excited and they're very passionate. And some of them that favor AEW more than the other promotions, they get triggered when you mention things about WWE or Impact or TNA or ECW or something along those lines where they're like, it's not the same. And I'm like, but their goal sort of is to do the same thing and to be a competitor. So really, it's just a lot of back and forth. And in general, most wrestling fans like everything across the board. We're not picking favorites. We just love it. And I feel like those that favor one compared to the other, they're just fun.
Well, speaking of which, and I'm already going to say that before it actually happens, I'm sure people are going to rip into this episode, which is fine. You have every right to. Feel free to chime in, which is fine. But please use facts and actual data. Try someone. Good.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, someone try to logically explain to me that if they're getting paid $187 million a year, how they have any right to charge. I understand supply and demand. I understand basic economics. But do not tell me that they're losing money and that they have to charge in order to be sustainable. No.
And that goes for their live shows, too. I don't want to see outrageous prices for a Dynamite and a Rampage locally. And that goes for anyone going to a stadium and it's not completely sold out and you're charging me $300 to $500 for a seat. No, don't do that.
Exactly. And we both know this. We've both been to shows like this. I went to an MLW show years ago. They actually say, fans, can you please come in so you can get in frame? And I can tell you this because of my experience for Fox Sports Florida. We used to do reels of sizzle reels specifically this one was the Marlins. We were not allowed to show empty seats. And if we did, we got in trouble. And that was very challenging. Anyone who watches baseball, specifically in South Florida, you know that the majority of that stadium is empty.
Mm-hmm.
Period. It is an empty stadium.
Yeah.
So AEW or any wrestling promotion, that makes them look stupid and that makes them look bad. So if you're asking everyone to move in, don't significantly raise prices to sit closer. That's unacceptable.
Don't do that because I paid some high prices just 6 months ago. I've said it before. They moved people in front of me, and that was a big mistake. And just pricing reference, I like to do front row at WWE because you get an actual fan experience, and it's fun, and it's sold out. And that is $500 for a ticket, and you get a whole bunch of fun stuff. You get your money's worth of it.
Sure.
They're charging similar, and it could be resellers, but hey, it is what it is. But you're not getting that same experience currently. So that's what I'm saying. Until we build this market back, or we have a consistent audience showing up, those are outrageous prices to me. But one other thing I did want to touch on the fan base, and I've been seeing it on a lot of forums and a lot of just comments on other podcasts and other things, is there's this big debate of storyline versus in-ring performance. And I've seen a couple of people comment that WWE is more storyline based and AEW is more based on matches. And I'm kind of confused by that a little bit because I was like, this is the point of wrestling, period, is to be both, it is to entertain, is to have that athleticism in the ring, to be an athlete, but also be able to tell a story, build your character, the evolution of getting us fans emotionally involved and attached. And I notice a lot of AEW fans will snap back and say, well, we're not storyline based. We are fully just matches. And I'm like, well, you're not storyline based because your storylines aren't pitched long term. They're only short term now because that's all they can do.
Exactly.
So
yeah, exactly.
I'm just confused on that perspective.
I agree. And listen, in theory, if this was just based purely on athleticism, then it wouldn't be it wouldn't be what we know as pro wrestling. It would just be
like UFC and boxing.
Yeah, correct. Or acrobats, But again, so it's a combination of both, and I couldn't agree more with you.
So
all right. That is probably the most heated episode we've ever had. Maybe will be ever. But we always say this. Please chime in. Do you agree or disagree? Either way is fine. Please DM us. Yeah. Please DM us at the Chutes and Ladders. Like always, please like, share, and subscribe. Once again, my name is Jason.
I'm Desiree Josen.
All right. Have a great week.
Bye, friends.